Chapter 24. Monday was the Mondayest Monday of all Mondays. Not only was Wiki mad at himself for not hatching a plan over the weekend, but he spent the entire walk to Finisterre scolding us for being too relaxed about Blackbeard. We need to face the school bully before it's too late. Except our bully is bearded, legendary, and very capable of murder, he ranted, and it might be too late already. We just gave him the silent treatment. I was still pretty annoyed with him for being so hard-headed about the whole Ms. C situation. I was about to walk into first period science when Wiki stopped and pointed to a sign on the door. Scrimshaw Science across the hall, room 108. Looks like Mr. Jekyll is subbing for Mr. Scrimshaw today. Mr. Jekyll had been our science teacher last year. Ooh, wait, Jekyll? A scientist? And he's British. What if he's secretly Dr. Jekyll? Wiki chuckled, then full-on laughed. Then he had a mini laugh attack. Can you imagine if your absurd theory was actually right? That'd be apocalyptic. I got a little excited and a lot confused. Dr. Jekyll? Is that a famous guy from history? No, he laughed, drying his eyes as he walked past me to his class. It's doubly impossible because he's not from history. Dr. Jekyll's a character in a book, but he's the absolute last person you want in the real world. Good thing you're completely wrong about all of this. Then he walked off to his first period class. I walked into the room even more annoyed at Wiki, if that were possible at this point. Good afternoon, children. Today, we're going to take a break from marine biology to conduct a quick yet fascinating chemistry experiment involving selenium and zirconium. Please procure your notebooks, and we shall begin. I'd forgotten how boring Mr. Jekyll's class was unless you were super into science experiments. He spoke like a British butler from olden times. He got really excited about mixing liquids that were different colors, and he loved sounding out the names of chemicals that were ridiculously long and complicated. So yeah, Wiki used to absolutely love his class. Me? Not so much. Now, let us begin with selenium. Pencils are out? Good. As he droned on, I thought about what Wiki had said. So clearly, Andy summoned people from history. But what if he summoned people from fiction, too? If Wiki were here, he'd probably say something about time travel at least being theoretically possible, but fiction just being made-up garbage. But Wiki wasn't here, and I was desperate for a lead. Why not at least look into it? Once Mr. J finished lecturing and we started doing our lab, I faked having to look something up on the computer. It'll just take a minute, Mr. Jekyll. I'm really interested in millennium. Selenium, he corrected. Yeah, that too. One sec. The computers faced the classroom, so as I researched Dr. Jekyll online, I was pretty terrified that Mr. Jekyll would notice, especially once I started reading about him. The fictional Dr. Jekyll was a normal scientist who made a potion that would turn him into a monster called Hyde whenever he wanted. But after a while, the monsters started taking over, and Jekyll had no control of the transformations. He would randomly turn into Hyde. Now I could see why Wiki was making fun of me. Pirates and earls were one thing, but summoning monsters from books was another thing completely. But then I read Jekyll's description from the book. A large, well-made, smooth-faced man of 50. Yep, that was Mr. Jekyll to a T. Every mark of capacity and kindness. If capacity meant smarts, then yeah, Mr. Jekyll was both really smart and super nice. Boring, but nice. Then I read some quotes that Jekyll says in the book, and oh boy, he talked exactly like Mr. Jekyll. Almost done there, chap? Jekyll asked. I almost peed myself, but instead I quickly shut the computer off, jumped out of my seat, and scrambled to the lab tables. Done, 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 I said. Whew. It looked like he hadn't noticed what I was researching. That's when I got another stupendously dumb idea in my head. What if I tested Mr. Jekyll out to see if there was a Mr. Hyde lurking in there. If there really was, I bet we could set him off in class. But of course there wouldn't be. So there was really zero danger. You know how they say curiosity killed the cat? Well, I bet curiosity completely slaughters the hobby one day. Hey, Grimes, I whispered, code red. Grimes gave me a cruel look. Is that a challenge, Santiago? Because if so, I accept. Code red wasn't something you said lightly. It was like a missile launch code. It triggered the class to go completely haywire. We only used it on really bad or boring substitute teachers. As far as I knew, no one had ever tried a code red on a nice sub. But in seconds, Grimes had walked to every kid in the class and whispered, code red, in their ear. Some of them shook their heads. Code red on sweet, innocent Mr. J? But enough of them were bored or brave enough that they nodded. It came from behind me. It was Sarah. Oh boy, Secret Crush Sarah was getting in on it. What in the blazes is that noise? Mr. Jekyll said, looking back from the chalkboard. Is that one of you? Loud hum continued. Mr. Jekyll started looking around the room, trying to pinpoint where it was coming from. Just as he started zeroing in on Sarah, the hum started coming from another direction. For a surprisingly long time, he stood silent, trying to follow the sound, getting more annoyed every second. Is it you? Which of you is it? Enough! Humming prank. It brings down even the calmest teachers. Sure, it only works when the entire class is in on it and one student can pick up when another student stops. But when it does work, it's true torture. I already regretted my decision. Poor innocent Mr. J. What was I thinking? Jekyll pinched the bridge of his nose, inhaled, and then exhaled slowly. I could swear I saw his pinky twitching a little bit. Please do not continue to test my patience, students. I assure you, you do not want to make me angry. There was a monster in there. We were probably close to unleashing it. Too late to stop now.